Possibilities presents Creating Your Seat at the Table with your host, Ashley Little, as she welcomes her guest to the table.
Welcome to Creating Your Seat at the Table. I am your host, Ashley Little. A little bit about myself: corporate professional by day, entrepreneur by night, 5-time best-selling author, CEO and founder of Ashley Little Enterprises, LLC, owner and creator of Creative Broadcasting, and founder and owner of Talk Radio and TV Network, LLC. Tonight, we have an amazing special VIP guest by the name of Regan Farley. A little bit about her. Regan Farley has consistently provided public relations and content strategy services to individuals and businesses since 2001. Regan developed her experiences from working with industry leaders and top-tier companies, which include Fox Broadcasting Company, NBC Universal, Def Jam Records, CBS Television, and PS Media Talent. Regan has created content strategy moments within tech, travel while curating digital strategies for nationally recognized organizations. Through the Regan Farley Agency, Regan oversees a widespread client portfolio in entertainment, nonprofit, lifestyle, and beauty spaces. Regan's overall mission is to blend her passion for urban pop culture and politics for large-scale campaigns during this election cycle. Regan holds a BA in journalism from Lincoln University of PA, 12, and is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Through her philanthropy efforts, she has also partnered with organizations such as the Epilepsy Foundation of Greater Los Angeles and New York, while serving as a board member for the Maryland chapter. Regan is dedicated to helping clients achieve optimal visibility through strategic partnerships, active storytelling, and creating campaigns that one can be proud of. Welcome to the table, the amazing
Ashley. Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. So, tell us more about your entrepreneur journey.
Yeah. And a tidbit, I wish it was 2001, but it's 2011. So I graduated Lincoln in 2012. Okay. Lincoln is a historically black college, and that's kind of where I got my start in the industry and in the space. As far as the HBCU circuit is concerned, I served as the Vice President of External Affairs for Student Government. And anyone who knows anything about HBCUs, SGA is like the bread and butter, right?
Right.
It's just crazy when you're on a college campus. But that experience alone kind of prepared me to work in the PR space. So I served as the Vice President of External Affairs. I had the opportunity to work with artists like Big Sean, Wale, Miguel, and I just had the chance there to actually put on our biggest revenue-generating events. But since it was an external affairs position, a lot of it encompassed PR. So, like, we would go to other schools, we would promote our homecoming events, and then it kind of ran parallel with the PR director for the university. So I got an opportunity, which this young lady became like my big sister, my mentor. And one day, Ashley, believe it or not, I'm sitting in her office, and
wow.
She goes, "Hey, do you want to move to California, or do you want to intern in California?" So I got a chance to intern at CBS Television, and that opportunity right there kind of started, what is the Regan Farley Agency, because, of course, even though I've, had these awesome internships and just different things like that, I always thought that the key to financial freedom was owning your own. So I've always had my own company, even when I was a recent graduate in college and working at other companies. I always tried to, do my own thing.
I love it. So you are passionate about helping clients achieve optimal visibility through strategic partnerships, active storytelling, and creating campaigns. Tell us more about your passion.
Yeah. So my passion, so right now as it stands, I've been doing PR for the last 7 years. My clients kind of vary, right? So I have entertainment clients. I have clients who are in the nonprofit space. We actually just did an event with the United Negro College Fund in LA, but when we really unpack it and we talk about the storytelling space, I'll use UNCF for instance, but long and the short, we're helping them craft a narrative. So what does your PR plan look like on social media, especially since so many things have gone digital now? Of course, we can get down into the traditional nuts and bolts of what they call media pitching, but then you also want to make sure things translate on social media, right? You want to make sure that you're aligning with the right and the correct brands on social media. For UNCF, we align them with HBCU Pride Nation, which Travis Jackson is a dear, dear friend of mine, and making sure that there was a story there, right? Like making sure that the messaging was succinct, making sure that the HBCU audience saw that message, so on and so forth. So when I say I have a passion for active storytelling, it's not just getting a client's message out in one lane, but it's getting a client's message out through what they call traditional media, which is your radio, your television, new media, which is your digital and social media, so on and so forth. So it's kind of building a plane while flying it in a sense.
I love it, and I love Travis as well. You know, he great, my little brother, actually, because, you know, he went to A&T as well. So, yes, so I love everything about what you're doing. Yes, and highlighting the HBCUs in general is so important, right? Because they need us. They need us.
For sure. And they –
go ahead.
No, I was saying for sure, and they need to show alumni who have just gone off to do positive things. I love Lincoln for, you know, them saying Thurgood Marshall and, you know, all of these, Langston Hughes and all of these different folks, but, like, your current alumni are also doing great things as well.
Yes, yes. So for all of our HBCU graduates that are listening, continue to get involved and give back. So, Regan, what are the pros and cons? What are some of the pros and cons of hiring a publicist? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So Bill Gates has this quote, right? And I always post it. If you go on my social media, you will always see it. Bill Gates says, if I was down to my last dollar, I'd spend it on PR. And back to that whole storytelling piece, right? Like the point of a publicist, and all those things have changed in the digital landscape. The point of a publicist is to help with your narrative. So advertising, let's say you're buying a radio advertisement for a seat at the table. Because you purchased that radio advertisement, that story has to run, and it has to happen. And what advertising is saying is, hey, try this radio show. What your publicist, though, is saying is, hey, this radio show is important. It highlights HBCU graduates. It highlights millionaires, and it highlights people who are important and carving their own lane within the creative space. So what happens there is now your PR person is helping you craft a story, they're helping you reach multiple outlets, and they're helping you frame your messaging. And it's always important that no matter what level of business that you are in, that you have a solid message and consistent message.
So for our listeners that are listening, thinking about hiring a PR, man, I hope you're writing these nuggets down that Regan is sharing with you. So I want to go a little deeper into that. So what are some of the steps they should take when they are, you know, looking to hire one? Like, what are some things they should be looking for before they just, invest in a publicist? You know, what are the things that they should be looking for from that publicist? I mean, is there clients? What are some things like there? Because a lot of people, it's a lot of publicists out here, but you want to make sure you pick the right one for your brand and for you.
Yeah, for sure. I think people have niches. Like some people will say, well, I only focus on entertainment, or I only focus on healthcare and various spaces such as that. I think where my company is going, I want to focus on it all. So, like I said, we work in the entertainment space, we work in the healthcare space, we've done the nonprofit space, and we actually represent a college, Benedict College to be exact. But long and the short, when you are hiring a publicist in that same breath, I will say that there are no guarantees in PR. And why I say that is because publicity is earned, advertising is giving. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So like publicity is earned, advertising is given, and I'll say that in a sense because back to your show. So let's say I was constantly pitching your show to get you on as the expert on like a sister circle or something of that nature. Just because I'm pitching you doesn't necessarily mean that tomorrow you'll be on Sister Circle. Good PR takes time. So you want to consistently, back to that messaging, you want to find someone who is consistent in finding various angles to ensure that your press gets picked up. And when I say various angles, you just want to find someone who can say, okay, maybe Essence works great for you, or maybe Fast Company works great for you. You want to find someone who not only can provide you with different angles to tell your story, but then also create space for you to attach on to various partnerships. And I think that's when you know that you found the right publicist. You want someone who's not just jobbing you and saying, oh, well, I can get you on BT tomorrow or, you know, Fast Company tomorrow. You want someone who is really going to take their time and help you craft your narrative for bigger picture opportunities.
And for our listeners that are listening, as she stated, good PR takes time. That is so, so important in making sure you hire a publicist that can provide you to be able to share your stories from different angles, as Regan said, and be able to connect you with those different partnerships and sponsorships. So it's just not about getting on BET the next day, right? It's about a great publicist. A lot of people think that.
Yeah, they do. And I won't say it's unfortunate. It's just, you know, making sure that folks understand. Like, if you call me for a consultation call, I'm one of those people who I will walk you through the basics. What is PR? This is what it is. This is what it isn't. This is how I can help, if I can help. If not, I'll definitely refer you out to someone else. But I think people will say, hey, I started a business, I need a publicist. And like you said, there's certain steps that you need to take. So, like, if you are, I don't get these inquiries as much anymore, but oftentimes I still do. Like, let's say you are a music artist. If you're a music artist and let's say you have a few songs out and you're, you know, kind of still pushing those things, you don't automatically want to start with a publicist. You want to start with a marketing professional maybe at first, because your brand needs to look a certain way. Packaging needs to be a certain way. You need to have distribution. So you might not want to necessarily jump out and get a publicist. Or let's say from the entrepreneurial side, or maybe you're an author or something of that nature, are you currently speaking in different places? How have you defined and set your book apart from someone else's? And then PR is just coming in and helping you craft that narrative, helping you find your why, if that makes sense.
Awesome. I love it. And I'm so glad that you broke that down for our listeners that are listening. So thank you for shining light on that. So, you know, when you're out there, like you said, you might not need one at first. So it's just like growing your brand and then knowing when you should make that move, right? Because you probably don't. So I'm glad you shined that on that, too, because I think everybody think when I jump out there that I got to go get a publicist. No, build yourself.
Yes, because PR should be newsworthy. So I think sometimes you have to answer that question, is it newsworthy? And just because it's newsworthy to you, like, the art of a publicist is making it hit when it comes to press, but it still has to be newsworthy.
Is it newsworthy? Great. I'm glad you said that for our listeners that are listening. Is it newsworthy before you go hire publicists? So, Regan, what is some advice you would give to listeners who would like to grow in the media industry?
Yeah. I think consistency. What people see me now, who follow me on social media, it's like, oh, Regan's in LA 1 month, in Atlanta the next month. But I think things take time. Just as well as I said, PR takes time. I think growing in the media space takes time. Even if you're like an up-and-coming journalist or someone who wants to work in PR, you won't. I mean, it's great if you get that heavy-hitting client overnight. But if it doesn't happen, that's okay too. Stay consistent. Stay the course. Look how far you were, how, you know, off you may have been before, but look how far you have to go. Like, continue to just stay consistent, because consistency is key. And build relationships.
Yes. You know what? Regan, you're reading my mind, because we're about to dig into that. So why is it so important to build relationships in the media industry? I don't think people know how important that is just in life, is to build those relationships. Building relationships is so important. I'll even take me and you, for instance. We built a relationship over social media just by seeing what one another does. And I don't even think initially we wanted anything from each other. Like, and I think that's important. People who fake build a relationship with someone because they want something, and that's not how you do it either. Reciprocity is very important. Like, I might not need something from you, you know, just to be your friend or just to talk to you or say, hey, girl, you're doing well. I think that's the key to building a successful relationship. Yes, reciprocal relationships, right? Reciprocal relationships. And being genuine, because people know when you're not.
Yeah. And I'll give this as an example too. So remember how I was saying one of the former public relations directors at Lincoln gave me an opportunity to live in LA for a little bit. So I lived in LA. Kevin Frazier, who's the host of Entertainment Tonight, I had an internship with him when I was still in college, my senior year. Kevin furnished my apartment. He used to sit on our board on our communications board for Lincoln. And basically, he gave me the opportunity of a lifetime. I had a chance to work for CBS while he was on Entertainment Tonight. But then also, he has a company called Hip Hollywood, which is very similar in format to Entertainment Tonight. And long and the short, that's an opportunity that I could never repay, right? But a few months ago, Kevin is from Columbia, Maryland. So a few months ago, unfortunately, he had a family emergency, but he also wanted to eulogize a family member and kind of speak on this person being a legend in his space. Long and the short, one of my friends calls me, and she's like, hey, I need some help with something. I need you to do something for me, and it's for Kevin Frazier. I hadn't seen Kevin, actually, since 2011, and I remember that opportunity that he gave me, so it was, of course, I'll help, you know? So sometimes you don't always instantly need something from someone, and sometimes you just want to pay it forward without always having to be compensated or to do something for a look.
Right. It's called just generally wanting to get to know that person, right, as a person.
Yes.
Right? And that's really, and I always talk about the power of networking and collaborating. That's one of my signature topics, because you should always be looking for how you can serve that person. It's always how can you serve that person? And I think when people go in with that mindset, your gift will make room for you. But you always should have that serving attitude, that serving mindset. So.
That's real. That is so real.
I love it. And so let's talk about, the power of networking up. So what is your thoughts on that, networking up? Because, when you're networking, you got to do it in a certain way in order to help get yourself to the next level. So networking up, if you're trying to get to, depending on what your goals are, networking up is very important.
Yeah, it is. And then especially what you even saying, networking up, right? Because back to that whole piece of also having something to offer. So when we're networking up, it's always, hey, what can you do? What can you do for me to help me get to the next level? But then also I think it needs to be a piece in it as, what can I do for you? So sure, I want you to help me get to this next level, but how can I also help you with something that you're doing? Because maybe you don't need anything from me, but let me also extend that olive branch to say I can help you too. I'm not sure what that is right now, but let me figure that out, because I want to offer that service and not make it feel one-sided. And I think you got to be valuable to people like that. So when networking up, I think you also have to show value in a sense, because if I'm this person and I'm on top of the world, let's say I'm Oprah or something of that nature, do I, what's going to make me want to help you? And I think you have to prove that when you're networking up.
And that's so important, right? How can you bring value to that person, right? How can you bring value to that person and make them want to invest in you? And, it's so many different ways to do it. You can volunteer at some of their events, seeing how, research them first, though, to see how you can get in there and bring some value to something that they're doing. And I think a lot of people forget to do that part. You need to research. When you need to study people, when you're trying to get to that, if they're at a level that you're at, you need to be studying them. So what's your view on that, Regan?
I agree with you wholeheartedly, Ashley, because you never want to walk into a space and you're asking someone for something and then you don't know anything about that person. Like I even like to drop gems on a person every so often when I'm talking to them, to let them know, hey, I see you. Because I think that's very important. Like, hey, Ashley, I see you with a seat at the table, and I know you had a book that celebrated sisterhood and sororities and various things such as that, So I want to be able to say things like that to a person that I'm trying to network up with. And even with networking across, because I think that's very important too. We go to these black colleges or just colleges, period, and I'm so proud of some of the people that I went to school with. To see them now, it's like, wow, I went to school with that person, and I built a relationship with that person at Lincoln. So let's keep that momentum going, because we're doing great things in our industry. And I never know who I'm going to need to call. So I think that's very important, too, because those people that you rub elbows with who are your peers might be the future leaders of something in the future.
I agree, because I always say never despise small beginnings, right? You never know who you're talking to, so that's why you should treat everybody right. Never despise small beginnings.
Yeah, because you never know. And I'll also say, again, back to staying consistent. Stay consistent, because you might get discouraged for a second, but a lot can change in a year. A lot can change in a day. Like, to even be more transparent, I was laid off last year from my job, and now I've gotten so many contracts that I don't even know how to stay still, girl. I don't even know how I'm sitting here talking to you right now.
It's God, okay?
Because the phone is ringing.
I love it, that overflow. So I know, Regan, I consistently follow you. You're doing some amazing work, and you consistently build your seat at the table, and you built multiple tables for yourself. But I ask all of my guests this question: how did you create your seat at the table?
Yeah, I created my seat by being resilient. I like to say that I have a basketball mentality, and when I say basketball, the literal basketball, because no matter how much you put that basketball back down, it's always going to bounce back up. And I think it's important. Like I mentioned, I got laid off last March, and when I say, Ashley, I don't even know how to even tell you how I've, just to see my progression from last March up until now is beyond me. Like I mentioned, United Negro College Fund is a client. I represent some ladies from Black Ink Compton. I represent another young lady by the name of Crystal Garner from BT's The Grand Hustle. We work with blackdoctor.org on their top hospitals for diversity. And to me, it's just building my seat at the table has come from being relentless, being resilient, knowing that once I get to this table, I can't be the only one, and knowing that, one, I got to mentor somebody else and bring them on, but then, two, the same people who have struggled with me and who are my peers also need a seat at the table, because as long as iron sharpens iron, we'll never go wrong. So I think those are some of the ways that I've built my seat at the table.
I love that. I love everything that you said. Iron sharpens iron, being relentless and resilient. That is so, so important, right? It's so important. No matter, and I think people give up sometimes in the middle of the process, right? So if you would have gave up in the process of being laid off, you wouldn't be where you're at today. So the process is necessary, right? It's necessary.
Yes, it makes you into who you are, and you can't get in there. And trust me, girl, it's been some setbacks, but minor setbacks make for a major comeback. So you just got to keep dusting. You just have to keep dusting and keep it moving. And I know in some instances it might not seem that, it might get discouraging. It might seem like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, but you got to stay consistent and stay prayed up. I don't know if this is that kind of show, but I'm going to say stay prayed up for sure, if that's what you believe in.
Yes, stay prayed up. That is, and it is that kind of show, because we definitely celebrate God on here. So yes, stay
amen.
Prayed
okay,
up.
Amen.
Okay. So what did failure teach you on your journey?
Ooh, baby, failure. That's a great question, Ashley. I think that failure taught me that failure on my journey taught me that failure isn't final. Because I failed so many times. Like, this is actually my second time doing PR full time, and I think it's time and place, right? Like, so maybe the first time when I tried to do it, it wasn't the right time. God said, Regan, you got to learn more. You got to work for somebody else more, because that's when you'll know how to be a boss. You got to know when and how to sow a seed into somebody else, into the next generation of publicists who look like you, who, are Black women, Black men, or just men and women of color who, want to reach the heights that you have reached. And granted, I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I think failure has taught me that it isn't final. And that you have to use those failures in order to know that, one, you're still human, because no one's untouchable, right? Like, we all fail. No one's perfect. And failure just shows you that there's success in it too sometimes, because you learn a lesson. If you don't learn a lesson, you're not growing. And if you don't fail, I think if you do every single thing right and all you know is success, then you can't really succeed because you don't know of another option to get it. And I think all of those things are important.
Yes, I love that. So what did success teach you?
I think success taught me that I can't get comfortable. Failure taught me that, failure isn't final, but success taught me that I can't get comfortable, because what happens there is I need to stay consistent. That right now, where I am right now, isn't where I'll always be. So I try not to look at things as, oh, I'm successful, I'm this, I'm that. It's just more motivation to keep going.
I love that, and staying humble, right? That's the key.
Yes.
Staying humble. So we are in this new decade, new year of 2020, Regan. So I know you're about to burst some great things. So what can we expect from you in this new year?
Yeah, and you talked about collaboration earlier. I think collaboration is super important. I think right now I'm in the process of scaling my business. So when I say scaling my business, I can compare it to like an Edelman, a great agency. If you look at all of those bigger firms, they're multifaceted. So they aren't just doing PR, they aren't just doing social media, but they're doing everything so that way they can become the end-all, be-all. So like with Burrell, I'm sure their clientele has to look nowhere else to do anything communications and creative, because they do video content, they do publicity, they do creative content, different things like that. So one, I would like the Regan Farley agency to be scaled so that we can service more clientele in New York, LA, Atlanta, and the various markets. But then two, so that's the collaboration piece, merging with a few of my favorite business owners. So I'm going to shout out my friends really quickly, Ariana, who is on the West Coast, who has Creative Approach PR, Deja Cremati, who has Deluxe Publicity, and it's like my right hand. We are always rocking and rolling together. And then Nyasia, who's in Ohio, who has Nyasia Simon and Associates. Some form of the work that you always see, Ashley. You see the form of some silent killers on social media when you're seeing me do work, because it's not just me. It's either a solo project or either with one of them. And I think there's power in numbers, so definitely scaling the business and collaboration. But then two, I think it's more speaking engagements, just figuring out how to lend my voice as a thought leader in the space. And then three, doing some international speaking engagements. So I think that's what 2020 looks like to me. Book flights, collaboration, and staying encouraged.
Super congratulations on all the amazing things that you're about to get done, right? I love it. And like you said, with collaboration, that is so important. Let's talk about that, collaboration over competition. Did we speak on that a little bit, Regan? Yes.
Yeah. So the project that I keep mentioning with UNCF, and I mentioned Ariana a second ago. Ariana, who is out on the West Coast, that's my dear friend. She actually got the project, and she's like, Regan, I can't do it alone. I need you. And then I'm like, Deja, I can't do it alone either. Like, I need you, and we need to come together, and we need to figure out a way to, because they say Black women can't work together. Like, let's be the complete opposite. Or even if I shout out Nyasia again in Ohio, like, same thing. She had a really big project. She brought me in, and then I brought in Deja. And I think we have to stop saying that Black women can't work together, because if we start to say it, that continues to manifest, and then we won't work together just because, Black women can't work together. So I think we have to remove that notion of we can't work together, because I've gotten some interesting projects with my friends.
So we can work together. You're right, because if it's just us, then your dream is too small if it's just you by yourself. So definitely, I tell everybody, embrace collaboration in this new decade, in this new year. Do it scared, do it, step out and do it, because you will get there faster when you collaborate. But also make sure you collaborate with the right people, like Regan stated earlier, reciprocal relationships. Those are so important.
Yes. I don't want to misquote that African proverb, but it's an African proverb. I think it's like, if you want to go far, go alone. You know what? I'm going to be wrong. So I won't even quote it. But
I know what you're talking about, because I just saw it earlier today.
Yeah, it's something.
Yes.
I don't want to misquote it, but
yes. Well, congratulations again on all the dope things that you're doing, Regan. Congratulations in advance. Can't wait to see all the things that God is going to do in your life that you announced, that you didn't announce.
Same.
So I've been over here cheering you on.
Same. Thank you so much for even creating this platform. Like, I was looking at it earlier when we were Instagramming, and just to see the many faces and spaces that have been inspired by creating a seat at the table. It's awesome, and it's great what you're doing and how you're letting entrepreneurs and these different professionals just share their stories. So you keep doing what you're doing too, sis.
Thank you, love. And please tell our listeners how they can follow you, support you, and book you on all social media platforms.
Yeah. So my website is reganfarley.com. That's REGAN Farley, FARLEY.com. My Instagram and Facebook for my company is Regan Farley Agency. So REGAN FARLEY, and then agency. And then my personal is Ray the Publicist. So RAETHEPUBLICIST, and that's on all social media platforms.
I love it. So make sure you follow and connect with Regan. She's definitely somebody to know and somebody to connect with. Again, Regan, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come to the table. This has been a powerful interview, and I can't wait to invite you back.
Ashley, thank you so much. I can't wait to be back, girl. I can't wait to come back in a few months and share some more good news with you.
Yes, and I look forward to working with you and collaborating with you in this new year.
Same. Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. So I would like to give a special shout-out to my intern, Sarah, from Tennessee State University, and my intern, Vontaria, from Winston-Salem State University. You all may follow me on Facebook at Ashley Little and on Instagram at _Ashley A. Little. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Creating Your Seat at the Table, where Ashley speaks with corporate professionals, celebrities, entrepreneurs, authors, and speakers who are transitioning or have transitioned to entrepreneurship.